Hi, welcome to Snohomish. I'm John First, your guide for this tour. We are about to spend the next 2 hours on a lovely walk around the historic district of Snohomish, where we will visit some of the iconic trees of this town. We will not be visiting all the trees listed in the walking guide. Some are duplicate specimens, and others are outside the route we have selected. Let me tell you a little bit about how this walking guide came to be. I've always loved trees. I grew up in Ohio, where one of my earliest memories involving a tree was of my 8-year-old self climbing an old apple tree in my aunt's backyard, along with my siblings and cousins. It was not an altogether pleasant memory, as that climb ended up in a hasty exit from a rather high branch, thanks to some angry hornets who left me with several painful parting gifts. I later came to learn about the mixed hardwood forests that made up the woods from Maine through Georgia, from the eastern seaboard to the Mississippi. I believe that the whites who came to settle in places like Snohomish came not from the Old World, but from the East and Midwest America. They came from places that had already been settled to the west for their shot at a new opportunity. When I first came to Snohomish in the early 90s, I saw a town that could have been plucked straight out of the Midwest. They brought the familiar with them in the buildings and the layout of the town, and including many of the trees from those home forests that I also knew from my youth. On my many walks through town, I noted the trees that impressed me by their statue or color or uniqueness. I would sometimes take friends who were visiting on walks around town to see them. Eventually, through the efforts of many, a list was generated. A graphic artist lent her talents to creating this brochure. A patron financed it, and another turned a self-guided tour into a guided tour where we find ourselves today. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. The tour takes about 2 hours, and we will be walking a couple of miles. Some hills are involved, so you must be reasonably fit. Bring water to drink. There are no facilities available once we start, so please take care of that before we set out. You should be wearing comfortable walking shoes and clothing appropriate for the conditions.